It's Friday, and I'm back with the next in our Fanzine Friday series. Today we're taking a look at the Doombook of Chaos, number 4, from 1981. Please stick around. I'm AZ Mountaineer, and this is our channel, Old School Rules, where we celebrate the community of old school gamers and grognards who like classic RPGs, miniatures, magazines, and everything that goes with it. Each week on the Fanzine Friday series, I take a fanzine from my collection off the shelf for a closer look. And today, that's the Doombook of Chaos, number 4, from 1981. Hope you enjoy the video. Today on Fanzine Friday, we're continuing our look at a series called the Doombook of Chaos. This is the size we're used to. This is a pink cover. It's basically just regular paper, not particularly heavy stock at all, and then paper folded in half and a couple staples. This one is from 1981. They actually talk about the date in here specifically. So if you've been looking at some of the other videos for this particular fanzine, you know that Brad Bennett and Des or Jonathan Irwin have been the ones primarily responsible for putting this together. We saw a little bit of interaction from the community in the last issue, and now we've got a lot. There's a gentleman named John Grandidge, although they say in parentheses, I guess his nickname is Len, who they say is basically staging a takeover. He does almost all of the content in this particular fanzine, so that's a significant change here. And he also has some, I should say they also have a couple of submissions that are along the lines of what you saw in Troll Crusher, which is those APA fanzines where people would send in 3-4 pages of their own original material, and then that's just put into the magazine as like a mini fanzine within the magazine. Okay, let's take a look at the cover. This cover I really like. We've got the Doombook of Chaos written up there at the top, and then it looks like a wandering wizard or something here on this lonely path going up to this abandoned building, and then there's like a ship out there in the harbor or something like that. Here's their table of contents. I'll blow that up in just a second. And here is a drawing of a dragon. I don't quite get the thing at the bottom because it says CP, CB, and others. So I don't have any idea who's taking credit for that artwork. Okay, so here is their table of contents. Again, we have the cover. The editorial is fairly short and sweet, just saying that they're making some progress. They want to encourage people to continue to send in contributions, and like I said, some more of these sort of like mini fanzines like you saw in Troll Crusher are greatly encouraged as well. They reiterate that this is basically an RPG fanzine focused on Dungeons and Dragons, but also encourage people to send in material for other things such as sci-fi, role, Runequest, etc. You are here, that's the contents page. Things from the Crypt, those are new monsters. The Haunted Hole of Herbert blog is a new adventure. This fanzine has 3 separate scenario or mini adventures in it. So there's the first one. Tales from the Oracle is a small, called the mini fanzine, let's say, submitted by one of the folks. I don't think that they actually provide their name. I'll double check that real quick. Yeah, they just call themselves the Unknown Scribbler. So whoever that is provides us with the mini fanzine called Tales from the Oracle. Letters column, it's fairly short. They say they're getting a few letters now. This one basically was talking about the Doombook of Chaos number 3. They liked some things, they didn't like some things, but so it goes. The Lair of Gothrilani, remember last time they said they wanted to have a contest for new monsters. This is the winner, the Gothrilani. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it has a mini adventure. D&D Editions is a discussion of reincarnation. It's a very short article, basically just gives you their theory of how that works. They say that when you're reincarnated, you go back in time 20 years to when the next body was being born, and then your soul is put into that body, but your memories are forgotten until you get to the point where the original person died, and then your memories sort of spring back to life. That seems kind of complicated, I think, but their point was we want to reincarnate you, but at an age where you're already ready to adventure, right? So that when a player's character dies, they can sort of continue with the knowledge of what they've learned about the world, but start over basically as the first level, although they have a table where you could be first level, second level, third level, and then if you got You roll a d6 to determine. If you got a 6, you roll a d8, so you could possibly be up to 8th level. I wouldn't let you do that. I'd make everybody start over at level 1, in particular if that's what everybody else is doing in the game. Tales from Morak is the continuation of this sort of narrative fiction, but also it feels like it's drawn from their home campaign because they've got characters and they know what level they are and things like that. There's a couple critiques of that in here. The Letters is critical of that. I think John Grandidge is also critical of that because he provides a mini fanzine called Amoeboid Thoughts. And he says, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't even know what the storyline, I don't know what it's driving towards. It does seem kind of random. Thun, we return with more details about their city and their home world. Infinite Worlds is another planet they've made up for you to insert into your sci-fi campaign. And then there's a short editorial in the back telling you a little bit of information about who's involved in putting this together, giving credit to Dungeons and Dragons. And then they have another contest, and this one is for the Design Dungeon contest. So that supposedly will be in the next issue of Doombook. And then the last, the Aconius, is the comic, if you will, in the back, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay, so tales or things from the crypt. The Sewer Woglodon, and the other one they have here is called the Anti-Gravity Creature. Okay, so here's the blow up. This little worm-like creature is the Sewer Woglodon. It's a 6-foot-long worm that lives in the sewers. Two interesting, well, it has a little breath weapon that can cause light wounds, blindness, and a disease, a fungus skin disease. Its tail is razor-like. It can use that with a 5% chance to assassinate you. And you can train these things to come with you on your dungeon adventure. So I find it to be a little silly. I like the idea there's a creature that lives in sort of the sewer, the sludge. That I like. I think the assassination blade on the tail is a little too much, and I would not let you train some worm to come with you as a companion. The next thing is this creature. It's up on the, it's like a, I don't know, sort of like an insect upside down. It has this weird magical aura that causes anti-gravity around it when its mouth is closed, and that lets it stay on the ceiling. When it opens its mouth, it causes sort of like a reverse gravity field, and so whoever is under it will suddenly fly up and smash into the ceiling. They basically say you should take falling damage, in addition to which apparently you land inside the mandibles if you fail your saving throw, and now he's got a hold of you. So not the greatest, but it's a clever little something different, and that's always a fun thing to do with monsters. Here's Captain Broadsword, our comic, and he says, my ring of fire resistance will protect me from the wizard who has a wand, right? And he's trying to blast him with fire. And then the second drawing there you see is just only, the ring only protected his finger, and everything else got turned to ash. Okay, John Grandidge. He's, like I said, he does most of the fanzine contribution. He first has a scenario that he's designed, The Haunted Hole of Herbert Blog, which I like. It's a dungeon. He says Herbert Blog was concerned with his immortality. He learned that slimes basically never die of old age, only if you actually destroy them, like with fire or whatever it is that would hurt a particular type of slime. So he gets himself transmuted or polymorphed into a slime so he can live forever. Takes all of his possessions with him, designs and digs out this dungeon for himself, takes most of his servants with him, and then shuts himself away in this dungeon where he can live forever. And then you've heard about this, in particular the part where he took all his treasure with him, and so you've gone to, in theory, you've gone to investigate. It's a little bit of a menagerie. A few places where I'm sort of like, I'm not sure what that creature's doing, just hanging out behind a door waiting for the party to come along and open it. For the most part, it's pretty good. If you get over that one little ecology question, I think it's quite good. It's a lot of fun. It's one session, like long evening session or afternoon session that you guys might want to play. And here's his dungeon. As you can see, this is classic old school goodness, right, in the dungeon design. Lots of fun little stuff in there. The next thing we have is this mini fanzine called Tales from the Oracle. The first thing he does is give a little bit of feedback on what he liked and didn't like about Doombook issue number 3. In particular, liked the dungeon, thought it, the last dungeon, right, the Strange Fane, just thought it had too much in terms of treasure. That's probably the same criticism I have of the dungeons here. They're a little over the top, 2,000 gold pieces or whatever in a room or something like that. The Horde, which are the magic candles, I think most people liked those. I think there's some pretty positive feedback on those. So Tales from the Oracle introduces now basically a new creature called the Shadow Goblin, which as far as I can tell is basically just a goblin. Did not read anything that made it sound like they had particular skills other than they're really good at hiding in shadows and moving silently like a thief. And they've moved into his adventure, which is called the House of Horrors. They've moved into this house outside of town, and the party's basically being sent there to clear that out. It's so I did like it. I thought it had good design to it. He's basically got a 2-level house. He mentions a couple times about there being a basement or a cellar. The odd thing is, and I'll show you the map here in a second, he only gives the descriptions for level 1 and I think the first room of level 2, and he just stops and says, you know, I'll do more next time if folks ask me to. If folks ask me to, or there's demand, I'll create another sort of mini fanzine, and I'll continue to describe what's in this building. So they had their monster contest. The Gothrilani is the winner. They don't say much about it other than this was the winner. The Gothrilani is a sort of like a nymph. It's a very sexual female creature that charms people, but the twist is she lives off of, or it lives off of, fear. And so the more scared you are, the more she feeds off of that. She uses illusions to cause fear. And obviously the illusions can cause damage, and if they cause enough damage that you die, then she really feeds off your life force, and it'll sustain her for quite a long time. And so they said, let's just give you a little dungeon to show you, just a sample dungeon to show you how this works. And essentially you come in here, it's actually pretty well done and very nice and short, introductory type thing, although she's too powerful probably for one first level party. But you come into this place, there's permanent darkness spells cast, so now you can't see, right? So you're starting to get a little scared. And then when you get to room 3, which right here at the beginning, it starts with illusions, and the illusions attempt to distract and cause, you know, psychic damage, if you will, to the party, so she can feed off of that. If your party manages to escape, you get into room 4, which has these, you can see obviously how you can get in and out of that room, but a party would get easily pretty confused with the twisting passages. But if you do manage to find your way up, then she's up there in room 5, and then 6 is she's got some beasties that'll help protect her. So it's nice, short and sweet. I like the monster a lot because it's a very, it's a different kind of thing, right? It's all mental, feeding off of fear, not an undead creature. So I thought it was good. So here's the reincarnation I mentioned. Just basically this idea that he's got of John Grandidge, how he does reincarnation. I don't think you need this sort of whatever you want to call it, very scientific or behind the scenes understanding of reincarnation. If that's what you're going to do, you just say, hey, look, you're reincarnated, you're in the body of an adult whatever creature, and you can keep adventuring. We never played that way where you kept bringing yourself back, but I guess if you wanted to do that, then so be it. Tales from Morak. This as I said, the story rambles on. I still don't know what's going on now. They're down sneaking around. Remember last time I had a page missing, which was part of their story, and they're just skirting around down here, subterranean area, and they go down a pit and they start walking around, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's the other thing with this story, it's so short, like you never really build any momentum. It never really seems like it stops in a logical place. So here's, I guess I'm going to say, the mini fanzine for John Grandidge, which he calls Amoeboid Thoughts, and mentions that he did the mini dungeon in Doombook 2, and he's really glad to be doing more. This particular contribution is the history of Arda, which he says is his home campaign world, That's all he talks about. It's not great. He does it as if it's like short excerpts you're reading from different books he's made up. But essentially, they had a world, with humans and other races on it. They had an issue with too much technology. The gods came in and got rid of the technology, but then the people came back, started learning about technology again. He said that's where he started his world, was sort of like a post-technology magic campaign. The people went after the technology, relearned the technology, blew up their world again, and now they're in the third age where they start over, and now there's once again no technology. So that's his idea for his campaign. This is the next installment, if you will, for Thun, their home city that starts in Doombook of Chaos #1. And remember, he only gave us a little bit of information about the city. In each issue, they give us another section. They give us information about who lives there. They do a really great job with coming up with names and a little bit of color about different NPCs. Last time they were in sort of a slum area where they talked a lot about how, hey, when you eat, you're going to have a chance of getting sick, constant chance of getting pickpocketed. We've moved to a slightly nicer part of town. This is called Guild Way, Used Way, New Street, and Temple Road. So things are a little more upscale here, less worry about getting constantly pickpocketed. And again, I thought this was pretty well done. He talks about some different merchants or characters, NPCs that you'll meet here. So he says next time they're going to finish with the last of the surface buildings and give us some additional information. So that'll continue to be good. All right, so here is the back cover. And you'll notice there's hardly any writing in here. I think it's called Achonis. I don't know, it's Achonais. And there's like a wizard and some other guy, and they're floating out there. I think they're floating out there in the universe, like in outer space. And then there's this bug-looking creature, and it says, an error in the plan, such things are unheard of, and yet somehow Angmir survived the Holocaust. He knows of the time before he must be eliminated. Prepare my Achonius. And so then the wizard's flying towards the tower. The Achonius comes, the bug creature comes there. There's some zapping of spells, and then it looks like the thing is flying in through a window. He finds a scroll, and it says to the emissary of the, I think it says, nether gods, I have removed myself to another plane whilst demon-bred Boromir deals with you. Signed, Achonius. And then so it looks like, I can't tell if Achonius is calling someone out or sending somebody away. But so they had a contest. They said, write captions to tell us what the heck is going on in the story because we can't tell. And maybe you can get a free issue or something here. All right, so that's it for the Doombook of Chaos #4 from 1981. I'm pretty sure that the next issue of this will be in 1982. I think this one came out towards the end of the year. They mentioned in here that it's sort of slow going in between these. I hope you guys are enjoying our videos and enjoying the Fanzine Friday series, as well as the other videos we put out. I hope you're subscribed, and if you've got some friends who would like this kind of content, I hope you will send them our way, and maybe they can be subscribers as well. Hope you guys have a great Friday, have a great weekend. Until next time, my friends, keep rolling 20s.